Beloved child of God, trust the timing of your life and know that you're being led to where you're meant to be. Every giant in your life has a purpose. God already knows your battles and has prepared you for victory. Your struggles are shaping you, and your faith and gifts are enough. Your breakthrough will impact not only you but everyone around you. Deep inside your spirit, there is a longing for guidance, strength, and reassurance, and heaven has heard your cry. An answer is being released today. The challenge before you may look overwhelming, but God wants you to remember this. No matter how big your giant appears, He is always greater. The very struggle standing in your way is a sign of the greatness that lives within you. Step forward boldly, because your victory has already been written by God. We are about to explore this prophetic message through 7 sections. So step forward boldly. Your God is greater than any giant on your way. Before we begin, feel free to like, share, or subscribe. This isn't just another message. It is a spiritual confirmation for those who are chosen and hungry for God's voice. If this message speaks to your spirit, type 77 in the comments. This number represents spiritual completion. By declaring it, you are saying in faith that the giant in your life is falling and that God who called you is standing above it all. Not everyone will stay until the end. Only those who feel drawn by the Spirit. Those who continue will receive deeper courage, clarity, and spiritual insight about the battle they are experiencing and the victory that has already been decided by God. This is not a message you listen to once and forget. It is a living teaching that reveals more each time you return to it. Whenever you feel a stirring in your spirit, come back, because each time God will show you another layer of strength and truth. Now let's go deeper into the message. Section number 1. God knew about your challenge. Long before you faced it, beloved child of God, the difficulty standing in front of you did not surprise Him. Nothing in your life has ever caught God off guard. He knew about the long nights, the rejection, the financial pressure, the mental battles, and even the betrayals that hurt you. God saw every moment before it ever reached you. The struggle you are facing right now was already included in His plan for your growth and breakthrough. Psalm 139 verse 16 teaches us that every day of our lives was written by God before we lived even one of them. This means the moment you are standing in right now, the fear, the pressure, and the weight of the battle was already known by God. Not only was it known, but your victory was already written as well. Nothing about this is accidental. It is part of God's design to strengthen you and reveal what He placed inside you. Think about David. Before he ever stood in front of Goliath, God had already chosen and anointed him. People didn't know who he was yet, but heaven had already spoken about his destiny. The giant wasn't the start of David's story, it was simply the moment where God allowed what was inside David to be seen. The same is true for you. Even if you feel overlooked or underestimated, God has already marked you for victory. Your giant may seem big, it may sound loud, it may try to make you afraid. But remember this simple truth: nothing that stands against you is stronger than God's plan for your life. What feels impossible to you is easy for Him. Goliath scared Israel's soldiers, but to God, he was only a setup for a miracle. The size of your enemy does not matter when the power of God lives inside you. Beloved child of God, the challenge in front of you cannot change what God has already decided about your life. God did not bring you this far only to leave you. If He allowed this battle, He would also prepare for the victory. The giant you are facing is a sign that you are standing close to your next level. Without Goliath, David's greatness would not have been revealed. Without a battle, there would be no breakthrough. Remember this truth: your giant was expected, but your victory was already written by heaven. What feels like the end is actually the beginning of something new. What seems like a threat is about to become your testimony. The enemy wants you to think you are being defeated, but God is actually announcing your next season. This giant is not the end of your story. It is the platform God is using to show the strength, calling, and purpose He placed inside you. So lift your head, chosen one. This is more than a fight. It is confirmation that God has chosen you, equipped you, and destined you to win. Your giant may be big, but God is greater, and heaven has already declared the outcome. The giant falls, and you rise. Section number 2. Your giant is a sign from heaven. Beloved child of God, Let this truth settle deep inside of you. Goliath did not show up in David's life to destroy him. He showed up to reveal him. Chosen one, hold this truth close. The challenge in front of you is not a punishment. It is proof that God is preparing to elevate you. Before David ever faced Goliath, he was only known as a young shepherd, caring for sheep in the background. People overlooked him, but God had already chosen him. After David defeated the giant, everything changed. He stepped into leadership, honor, and eventually kingship. His giant became the doorway to his destiny. In the same way, the obstacle you are facing is not meant to crush you. It is meant to reveal you. The very thing that feels heavy and impossible is the same thing God will use to bring your voice, your purpose, and your story into places you never imagined. That health challenge you faced, it will become a testimony of God's healing. That financial pressure, it will turn into a story of God's supernatural provision. That heartbreak, it will grow into a ministry of compassion, strength, and wisdom. Giants do not enter your life to show your weakness. They enter to reveal the strength God planted inside you. Look closely at David's moment. For 40 days, Goliath shouted and threatened Israel's army, creating fear and discouragement. Everyone else saw a problem that could not be solved. But David saw a moment for God to show his power. Israel didn't just need another soldier, they needed someone whose faith had been shaped in quiet places with God. Goliath wasn't truly Israel's battle, he was David's opportunity. And when David stepped forward, used what he had, and brought Goliath down, the victory didn't just change his life. It changed the future of the entire nation. Child of God, the battle you are facing is bigger than you. This is why it feels so heavy, so stressful, and so far beyond what one person should handle. Your victory is not only for your own breakthrough, it is connected to everyone attached to your purpose. Your family, your children, your community, and even future generations will be influenced by how you stand in this moment. This is why you cannot quit. This is why you cannot run away. Your giant is a sign that your purpose is about to be revealed. The bigger the challenge, the greater the announcement. The louder the problem, the greater the glory God will reveal through your victory. What seems like resistance is actually spiritual confirmation that you are next in line for something great. The battle feels unusual because your calling is not ordinary. The struggle feels heavy because the crown God prepared for you carries weight. Do not hate or fear the giant in front of you. Instead, recognize what it truly is, a platform God is using. Heaven is turning your situation into a message that says, this one is chosen. This one is anointed. This one is stepping into purpose. Your giant is not your ending, it is your introduction. And when it falls, everyone will see that the victory came from God's power, not your own ability. Your battle is becoming your message. Your struggle is becoming your spotlight. And your victory will stand as clear evidence that God selected you from the beginning. Section number 3. God shapes you in private before he shows you in public. Chosen one knows this. David did not arrive on the battlefield without preparation. He wasn't an unskilled boy who accidentally walked into a fight. Long before Goliath appeared, God was already shaping him. While people only saw a young shepherd, God saw a warrior being trained in silence. In the quiet fields, far away from attention or praise, David fought off lions and bears with only his faith, boldness, and a simple sling. No one applauded him. No one celebrated him. No one even knew what he faced. But heaven saw everything. Beloved child of God, this is exactly how God has been working in your life. Those nights when you cried alone were not wasted. They were training moments. Those inner battles no one knew about, your sadness, your disappointments, your heartbreaks, the betrayals and failures. Those were your lions and bears. They were not punishments, they were preparation. Every tear helped grow your purpose. Every scar is proof that you survived attacks designed to break you. Those hidden struggles strengthened your spirit and sharpened your vision. You became stronger than you realize and more of a threat to darkness than you know. God shapes his chosen ones in quiet places. Before he shows you, he strengthens you. Before he lifts you up, he teaches you. Before he gives you influence, he gives you private lessons. The lonely seasons, the times you felt unseen, the moments you felt forgotten, those were not useless. They were essential. That was where God refined your character, stretched your endurance, and gave you wisdom no teacher on earth could offer. David's public victory happened because of his private battles. Your public breakthrough will also come from the challenges you've already overcome in silence. Think about this. David did not wear Saul's armor because he wasn't trained in it. He did not need what others thought was necessary. He simply relied on what God taught him in the quiet fields. He used what he had, his sling, his skills, and his faith, because those were already proven tools. Child of God, the same is true for you. You do not need to imitate anyone or desire what others have. The gifts, experiences, and lessons God placed in your hands are exactly what you will use to defeat your giant. God has already equipped you with everything you need. Every season that felt like it was breaking you was actually shaping you. The betrayal that hurt you so deeply taught you to trust God more than people. The loss you faced taught you to rely on God when everything else fell apart. The rejection you experienced reminded you that God's approval is enough. None of your experiences are wasted. God has been using all of it to prepare you for the moment you are stepping into now. Understand this: when God finally brings you into the open, it will not be to highlight your personal strength. It will be to reveal His power working through your life. The abilities you developed quietly, when no one was paying attention, will be the same ones God uses to silence the giant in front of you. The sling you learn to use in secret will be the tool that brings victory in front of others. And when people see you stand confidently in your calling, they will not understand everything you endured to get there. But heaven will. Child of God, this is why you could not skip your process. This is why God kept you hidden when you wanted recognition. This is why you faced battles others never had to deal with. God knew that one day you wouldn't just overcome your own giant. You would inspire countless others through the way you overcame it. Section number 4. Fear makes the battle look bigger than it really is. Beloved chosen one, this section is important. Listen to it attentively. When Goliath walked onto the battlefield, Israel's soldiers froze with fear. These were strong, trained men, yet the moment they looked at Goliath's size, armor, and confidence, their courage disappeared. His threats discouraged them day after day, and they hid instead of fighting. But then David came. He saw the very same giant, yet his perspective was completely different. Where others saw an impossible threat, David saw a moment for God to show his power. Child of God, this is where the difference between fear and faith becomes clear. Fear makes problems appear larger than they truly are. Fear makes the enemy's voice sound louder than God's promises. It convinces you that defeat is certain before the battle even begins. But faith reveals reality. Faith turns your focus away from the giant's size and toward God's greatness. Your giant may shout loudly, may seem powerful, and may look impossible to defeat. But next to God, that giant is small. Isaiah 40:22 tells us that God sits above the earth and that nations are like tiny insects before him. If entire nations are small in God's sight, how small is one giant? Fear freezes you in place. It keeps you stuck when God wants you to move forward. It locks you inside patterns of worry and insecurity. It makes you focus on the threat instead of the God who protects you. But faith does the opposite. Faith moves you forward. Faith makes you take steps when everything around you says to stay still. Faith gives you the boldness to run toward the giant when everyone else is running away from it. Faith gives you the confidence to use what you have, even if it's just a sling and stones, when the world says you need something bigger. Child of God, understand this. Fear always makes your giant look bigger than it really is. The enemy relies on intimidation. That's why he yells, threatens, and tries to overwhelm you with lies. His goal is to keep you scared so that he can keep you trapped. But when you shift your focus from the size of the problem to the greatness of God, fear loses its power. Remember, David never ignored that Goliath was enormous. He never pretended the battle wasn't real. But he refused to let fear twist the truth. David said, "The Lord who rescued me from the lion and the bear will rescue me from this Philistine." 1 Samuel 17:37. He measured the giant against God's power, not his own strength. When you do the same, your perspective changes and fear cannot control you. Stop replaying the lies of the enemy in your mind. Stop feeding your fear with what-ifs. Instead, speak God's promises over your life. Declare His power with your words, your worship, and your faith. When you magnify God, the giant shrinks. When you exalt Him, fear disappears. When you trust Him, courage rises. Fear stops you. Faith propels you. It is faith, not fear, that will lead you to victory. Remember, the battle is not yours, it belongs to God. Step forward boldly. No matter how large or loud your giant appears, God is taller, stronger, and greater. Your victory is already in His hands. Section number 5. The tools God gives you are greater than what the enemy uses. When David stepped onto the battlefield, Saul tried to clothe him in heavy armor, polished and impressive, the kind of armor a soldier was expected to wear. To the human eye, it looked strong, powerful, and necessary. But David immediately recognized that it was not made for him. It did not fit, it restricted him, and it could not serve the purpose God had designed for him. Instead of relying on something that was borrowed or foreign to his calling, he chose what God had already trained him to use: a simple sling and a single stone. To men, it seemed small and insignificant. To Goliath, it looked laughable and weak. Yet, in the hands of someone chosen by God, it became the instrument of destiny, a tool that would bring down a giant and shift the course of history. Child of God, hear this with clarity. You do not need to imitate anyone else to overcome the battle set before you. You do not need their armor, their platform, their influence, or their approval. Everything God has placed inside you is already sufficient for the victory you are called to walk into. He carefully selected your unique gifts, your talents, your perseverance, your vision, and your faith, equipping you with the exact tools needed to defeat the giants in your life. Stop comparing yourself to the paths of others, stop wishing you had what they have, and stop believing the enemy's lie that what you carry is too small, too ordinary, or too insignificant. What may appear ordinary to the human eye becomes extraordinary when it is placed in God's hands. Moses had only a simple staff, yet God used it to divide the Red Sea. A widow had only a small jar of oil, yet God multiplied it to provide for her family and others. David had only a sling and one stone, yet God used it to topple a giant, deliver a nation, and bring glory to His name. Victory is not determined by the size of your resources, it is determined by the one who works through you. Your sling may not look like a conventional weapon, but it carries divine power designed for your life and purpose. It may be the gift of your voice, the ability to speak life and encouragement into people when they feel defeated. It may be the endurance God has built into your spirit, allowing you to keep standing and pressing forward when others have given up. It may be the creativity and wisdom God places in your mind, inspiring you to build, write, or create something the world has never witnessed before. It may be your prayer life, the secret place where you intercede and shift entire atmospheres, changing situations in ways unseen. What God has given you, your faith, your abilities, your calling, is enough. What seems small, weak, or ordinary to the world is more than enough when God Himself is holding it and using it to bring glory, victory, and transformation. Child of God, never underestimate what God has placed in your hands. Do not despise the gifts, the abilities, or the faith He has entrusted to you. Do not allow the enemy to plant lies in your mind, convincing you that your resources are too small, too weak, or insufficient, or that you need what someone else has to succeed. God intentionally gave you exactly what you have because it is perfectly crafted to bring down the giant in your life. David did not need Saul's heavy armor, nor did he need the full army of Israel. He only needed the tools God had already equipped him with, a simple sling and a stone, and in God's hands, that was more than enough. Likewise, you do not need anyone else's strength, influence, or approval. You may feel outnumbered, underestimated, or even invisible to the world. But heaven sees the truth. The weapon in your hands, the calling on your life, and the faith God has given you are greater than any opposition you face. Your sling is mightier than their sword. Always remember this principle. What people see as weak, God sees as mighty. What the world labels as foolish, God calls wise. The sling was never merely a tool, it was a divine instrument, an assignment specifically chosen and designed for this exact moment. Just as David was selected to face his giant, so you were chosen to face yours. And when God's chosen one steps forward with what has been entrusted, no giant can withstand the power of heaven working through that anointed life. Section number 6. Your victory is meant to impact others. When David defeated Goliath, it was not only his personal victory, it became a breakthrough for the entire nation of Israel. The soldiers who had been paralyzed by fear suddenly found courage. The people who had doubted now believed. One young shepherd's triumph changed the course of an entire nation and inspired hope in every heart around him. Beloved child of God, your battle is the same. This fight was never meant to be only about you. God entrusted this giant to you because he knew your victory would release freedom for others. Your breakthrough is a key that can unlock chains in the lives of people connected to you. Your healing can encourage someone else to trust that their sickness does not have the final word. Your financial breakthrough can remind someone that God can provide even when circumstances look impossible. Your courage to rise after rejection can show another person that they too can recover from betrayal and keep moving forward. When you win, others win with you. When you rise, others are inspired to rise. When you walk into the promise God has for you, those around you follow with renewed faith and strength. This is why the enemy fights so hard against you. He knows that if you succeed, others will also be set free. He knows that your obedience and faithfulness will ripple through your family, your community, and even through generations you may never meet. That is why your giant seems so large and threatening. Its fall will not only bring freedom in your life, it will echo in the lives of countless others, bringing glory to God through your victory. Beloved child of God, do not believe for a moment that your pain, your tears, or the struggles you have endured were wasted. Every private battle, every lonely moment, and every trial has been shaping a testimony. When you share your story, others will understand that giants can be defeated, fear can be overcome, and God's purpose can rise in a life. What you carry is not only personal, it has an impact for generations. Your family may be waiting for you to overcome battles they could not. Your children and grandchildren may experience freedom because you chose to stand in faith today. Even your friends, neighbors, or people you have never met may be inspired and strengthened by your courage. God has chosen you to be a vessel of victory, not for self-glory, but to show his power through your life. Just as David's victory over Goliath changed the spirit of an entire nation, your obedience and faith will shift the atmosphere around you. When your giant falls, it will break chains not only in your life, but in the lives of those watching. Fearful hearts will rise in boldness. Lives will be transformed. I hope I will return. Faith will be renewed. And all of this happens because you said yes to facing what others were too afraid to confront. Child of God, your giant is falling, and it is falling not just for you. It is falling for your family, for your community, and for generations who will walk in freedom because you stood firm and trusted God. Your victory today is the foundation of freedom and hope for many lives to come. Finally, the last season, number 7. When the giant falls, God's power shines through you. Chosen one, hear this deeply and let it settle into your spirit. The giant in front of you is temporary, but your God is eternal. The roar of the enemy may sound loud, and the size of the challenge may appear overwhelming, yet all of that will fade because the power of the Almighty is greater than anything you face. Giants may stand tall, they may intimidate, they may shake the hearts of those around you, but their fall is inevitable when the living God rises in your life. Right now, even if the weight of your battle feels unbearable, remember this. Your victory was sealed in heaven long before you ever took a single step toward the fight. Nothing surprises God. Nothing can change the outcome he has already written in his divine plan for your life. When David picked up the stone, it was not simply an act of courage. It was a prophetic moment in motion. The battlefield fell silent, not because of David's strength, but because God was about to demonstrate his supreme power. The same truth applies to your life. The battle you face is not yours to win on your own. Your faith, your prayers, your persistence, your sling and stone are not the source of your victory. They are the vessels through which God works. Every step you take, every word you speak, and every move you make is guided by the hand of the Almighty. Your strength is not what defeats the giant. God's power flowing through you is. Understand this clearly. Your giant is already collapsing, even as you read these words. The spiritual atmosphere around you is shifting. The enemy who once mocked you, belittled you, and whispered lies into your ear is now trembling because he senses the end of his reign over your life. The bigger the giant seemed, the louder and more resounding its fall will be. And when it falls, the victory will not be just personal. It will echo across your family, your community, and even generations yet to come. What once appeared to be a threat designed to stop you is actually becoming a throne on which God will seat your destiny. The very thing that was meant to defeat you has been repurposed by God to elevate you. Just as Goliath was not David's end, but his announcement, so too your giant is not here to bury you. It is here to broadcast your calling, to declare your purpose, and to unveil the next season of your life. Stand firm, chosen one. You are not entering this battle alone. Heaven is surrounding you, angels are marching with you, and the Spirit of the living God is rising within you like a fire that cannot be extinguished. The ground may feel unsteady beneath your feet, but your foundation is unshakable because it rests on the rock of ages, the eternal Christ. You were not called to shrink back, to cower, or to fear. You were called to rise, to conquer, and to show the world that the power of God flowing through one faithful life can topple any giant, shatter any stronghold, and bring glory to His name. Your giant is falling, and in its place, God is rising in you, in full power, in full authority, and in unstoppable victory. Child of God, hear this and hold it in your heart. The giant before you may look enormous, but the God who lives in you is greater. Goliath appeared taller and stronger than David in the natural world, but in the spiritual realm, David had victory because God was with him. The same God is with you today. He is rising in your spirit, speaking through your life and fighting on your behalf. Your victory is not a question of if, it is only a matter of when. The giant is already falling. Fear that has tried to control you is breaking. Generational cycles of defeat are being destroyed. Strongholds that have affected your family line are being torn down. The enemy's lies and the curses that tried to silence your voice are losing their power. This moment is bigger than just a battle. It is a shift that will impact generations. Your children, your family line, your community, and many others connected to you will experience the results of the victory God is releasing through your faith and obedience today. Chosen one, step forward with confidence, because this is your moment of elevation. The battlefield that once intimidated you and made you feel small will soon become a testimony of your triumph. What the enemy intended for defeat is being transformed into the very place of your coronation. You will not only see your giant fall, but you will rise above it stronger, wiser, and higher than ever before. Lift your head with courage, stand tall, square your shoulders, and declare boldly, "The giant is falling, and my God is rising in me." This is not just the end of a battle, it is the beginning of a new season in your destiny. Heaven has already decreed it, and no power on earth or in hell can stop what God has planned. The giant is falling, God is rising. And you, child of God, are stepping fully into the fullness of the assignment He has given you. Your victory is coming, and it will bring freedom, restoration, and breakthrough not only to you but to everyone connected to your life.